harbingers of Halloween. As the icy fingers of Jack Frost caress the land, shadows linger, presaging the long, cold winter, reinforcing our primal fear of the dark. Halloween celebrates our dread of those nameless terrors that rule the night. Shivers run down spines, hairs stand on end, and hearts beat faster, as, for one night each year, we brazenly break the boundaries of reality. Little creatures scuttle through neighborhoods, knocking at portals, seeking tribute. We open our doors in a mixture of breathless pleasure and subconscious trepidation, to survey the various manifestations, demonic or otherwise, of what we hope are merely human children in costume. We exhale with relief as trick-or-treat bags are proffered. We gratefully dispense the expected candy and other foodstuffs, exhaling a sigh of relief that these visitors are mortal. How did so many come to participate in this obviously pagan endeavor? The simplest answer points to a questing that may literally be an intrinsic part of the human genetic makeup. People have always sought explanations for everything that occurs. Halloween addresses the juxtaposition of the living, dead, undead, monsters and supernatural mysteries which enmesh both the transience and endurance of existence. The word Halloween was first used near the end of the Middle Ages, in the 16th century, and represented a Scottish variant of All Hallows Evening or Eve, the night before All Hallows Day, which takes place on November 1st. The word hallow is an archaic term for saint. Pope Boniface IV established All Hallows Day to honor the saints in the 7th century. The Catholic Church designated November 2nd as All Souls Day in the 7th century to commemorate the dead. All Hallows Eve celebrations are derived from pagan roots, the ancient Celts and the Druid religion. Estimates put these Iron Age people back in time over 3,000 years. The celebration began as an autumnal equinox festival, acknowledging the ancient earth god Samhain, whose name is derived from summer's end. A gathering took place in the fall, after the harvest and before the onset of winter. The pagans considered winter the dark half of the year, when spirits more easily crossed into the world of the living. The Druids thought the dead returned to visit vengeance upon the living, for real or perceived wrongs perpetrated against them in life. Often more evil beings were thought to make the same journey, bringing either mischief or harm. It has long been said that in the amorphous twilight between sleeping and waking, all things are possible. Symbolic bonfires, rituals, sacrifices, and revelry expressed gratitude to Samhain for a bountiful harvest, and entreated him to keep evil spirits at bay. Costumes for the Druid priests, many participants, and sharing harvest bounty with others were the hallmarks of this festival. Halloween demonstrates the common practice of leaning on the foundation of a pagan celebration to create a Christian one. This is the preferred method of synchronizing belief systems, ultimately melding doctrines. The Mexican celebration of Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, mingles pagan practices with All Souls Day on November 2nd. Sharing similar precepts, the All Hallows Eve celebration, which takes place on October 31st, is stretched for a full 3 days by the inclusion of All Saints' Day and All Souls Day. The supernatural is as compelling today as it ever was in the past. As Halloween evolved, jack-o'-lanterns, often sporting grotesque faces, were carved and sometimes lighted inside as representations of evil spirits. Originally, these icons were carved from turnips. Pumpkins replaced turnips as All Hallows Eve wafted to the New World. The practice of children prowling through neighborhoods in costume to collect tribute from homes became fully entrenched by the early 20th century. The concept of tricks, when no treats are proffered, is an extension of the earliest pagan rituals. Ancient harvest offerings have morphed into candy and other swag. Costumed children have replaced the evil creatures of legend and playfully pierce the pellucid veil of superstition. We unknowingly appease these little gods in proxy supplication to Samhain, whose cold hands still embrace us in the 21st century. The earliest burials can be traced back almost 50,000 years. Before burials became common, there is evidence of cannibalism. The practice, believed to allow the ingestion of the soul and attributes of the dead human or animal, still exists today. Many hunters eat their prey's organ meat in a symbolic continuance. Soul eating evolved into sin eating. In the British Isles, sin eaters were paid to eat a ritual feast after a person died, to prevent the passing on of the sins to the deceased's children. The final variant of these rituals is a wake, which involves eulogizing, eating, and drinking in honor of the deceased, assuring a benevolent and permanent crossing over. This is yet another melding of pagan and Christian practices to prevent the realization of the biblical construct: the sins of the father are visited upon the sons. The dead rising from the grave and evil spirits possessing the living is a real concern. Rites of exorcism are still sanctioned by many religions. Many still fear the unbidden transcendence of the barrier between life and death. Do you dare to utter the word zombie? People live in a world that constantly reinforces our collective paranoia. Real-life monsters live, breathe, and walk among us. Serial killers, mass murderers, kidnappers, cutthroat cults, and other perpetrators are in the news every day. By modern standards, Jack the Ripper was a rank amateur. The transition from flesh and blood evildoers to a world of lurking, furtive, mythical beings is almost imperceptible. Fantasy frequently feels safer than reality. We still gasp when something shadowy invades our peripheral vision. Halloween affords us an opportunity to safely pierce the inky mists of the supernatural. Books, movies, and television shows are constantly exploiting and stoking the fires of this fascination. With such unprecedented media attention, Halloween has become a multi-billion-dollar, year-round, worldwide phenomenon. After all, who among us hasn't been exposed to ghosts, ghouls, and things that go bump in the night? Wide-eyed and excited, we wait, breathless, to be frightened. All the while, we exhort the ancient earth gods to make their children of the night benign. May this season of Samhain deliver joyful terror, shivers down spines, hairs standing on end, goosebumps, and exceptional companionship, whether normal or paranormal.